Wolverine, Weapon X, James Howlett, or simply Logan. Wolverine is most well known as a member of the X-Men, but his story tracks back to over 100 years ago. Wolverine's life has been rife with death, despair, torment, and misery. Despite this, Logan has made the world a better place for many, despite how much he would doubt this sentiment. Join me on this journey of the Wolverine, all the way back from the beginning. Logan's life began in Cold Lake, Alberta, Canada, sometime between 1882 and 1885. The mutant who would come to be known simply as Logan was born James Howlett, the illegitimate son of Elizabeth Howlett, who was married to James Howlett, the owner of a large estate, and the Howlett's groundskeeper, Thomas Logan. As a boy, James was notably frail and prone to bouts of allergic attacks. He was largely neglected by his mother, who had been institutionalized for a time following the death of her first son, John Jr. James spent most of his early years in the Howlett estate grounds with two playmates that lived at the estate with him, Rose O'Hara, a red-headed Irish girl who was brought in from town to be a companion to young James, and a boy nicknamed Dog, Thomas Logan's son, and James's half-brother. The children were close friends, but as they reached adolescence, the abuse inflicted upon Dog warped his mind. Dog made unwanted advances towards Rose, which James reported to his father. In retaliation, Dog killed James's puppy, leading to the expulsion of Thomas and Dog from the estate. Thomas, in a drunken stupor and armed with a shotgun, invaded the Howlett estate with his son and attempted to take his former lover Elizabeth with him. John Sr. attempted to stop him, and Thomas shot him in the head, in cold blood. James had just entered the room when this occurred, and his mutation finally manifested. Bone claws extended from the back of his hands, and he attacked the intruders with uncharacteristic ferocity, killing Thomas and scarring Dog's face with 3 claw marks. Already an emotionally disturbed woman since the death of her first son, Elizabeth, completely unhinged, drove James away and took her life immediately after with a blast from Thomas's gun. So, we have the dead parents now. James, with Rose's help, decided to flee the mansion after Dog told the police that Rose was the one who killed John and Elizabeth Howlett. The duo decided to ask for the help of James's grandfather, who gave them some money and told them to run away. The duo then found themselves in the Yukon territories in Canada, taking refuge in a British Columbia stone quarry under the guise of being cousins. James also assumed the name of Logan in order to hide his identity. Here, Logan would become one of the most respected men by the miners for his hard work, and eventually gained the nickname the Wolverine. As time passed, Logan's powers grew. He became stronger, his healing factor slowly removed the traumatic memories of his childhood, he accepted his feral nature, and he started to hunt with a pack of wolves. During this period, Logan developed strong feelings for Rose, but couldn't act on them for the sake of their guise as cousins. Smitty, who had been mentoring Logan all these years, had also grown close to Rose, and the two eventually fell in love and became engaged. Much to the scorn and surprise of Logan, who later accepted the situation for the sake of Rose's happiness. But as Logan accepted Rose's decision and made sure that both she and Smitty could leave the mine and live a peaceful life, someone from Logan's past came back looking for revenge. Dog. Dog attacked Logan and started to beat him up in front of Rose. But in the midst of the fight, Logan finally remembered who Dog was and what happened on the night his father was killed. He then defeated Dog and was about to kill him with his claws. Rose tried to stop Logan, but she accidentally fell and was impaled on his claws, which killed her. Shocked by what happened, Logan's mind shut down completely and he decided to abandon the civilized world and live with the wolves. In the next years that followed, Logan was tracked by Dog once again. He encountered death itself. He then met Nathaniel Essex, better known as the mutant supervillain Sinister, who was obsessed with mutations alongside several members of the Creed family before coming back to civilization. Not long after Logan met the vicious Victor Creed, otherwise known as Sabretooth, for the first time, who wanted revenge for what Logan did to his family, Victor captured him and sent him to the Ravencroft Institute, where he was tortured and experimented on by Nathaniel Essex once again. But, thanks to the help of one of the doctors, Logan was able to escape. It was supposedly around this time that Romulus, a supposed immortal being who used and manipulated the members of the Hudson line, which was Logan's mother's family, for decades, decided to take an interest in Logan. Later, Logan, apparently under Romulus's guidance, traveled to Japan and Madripoor, where he first met Seraph, who was working for Romulus, the Hand, and once again faced Victor Creed, now calling himself Sabretooth officially, who was also working for Romulus. At some point later, Logan traveled to another frontier community in the Canadian Rockies and met a young Blackfoot Indian woman named Silver Fox, with whom he fell in love. The two shared a cabin together and lived happily for a time. On Logan's birthday, Sabretooth, supposedly under Romulus's orders, brutally attacked Silver Fox, raping her and leaving her for dead. The first of many birthday surprises for him to come. Enraged, Logan battled him in a bar, only to be defeated and almost killed. Sabretooth then manipulated a feral, mindless Logan into believing the people of a nearby town had ordered Silver Fox's death, prompting Logan to slaughter the inhabitants of the town and falling under Romulus's control. In the years that followed Silver Fox's death, Logan traveled all around the world. He became a soldier, a mercenary, an assassin, an outlaw, a spy, and a samurai, fighting in many wars. During that time, Logan met for the first time his master and father figure, Lord Ogon, but also several foes that would later become some of his fiercest enemies, such as Cyber, Mystique, Nuke, and Bloodscreen. Logan also met several key individuals such as Natalia Romanov, who he trained in martial arts, the vampire hunter Eric Brooks, aka Blade, Bucky Barnes, Nick Fury, and most importantly Steve Rogers, also known as Captain America. After the end of World War II, Logan, under Ogun's advice, sought redemption for his past actions in Jasmine Falls, Japan, where he studied with Bando Saburo, in order to learn how to be a man and to leave his warrior nature behind. Here, he fell in love with a local woman named Itsu. They married and conceived a child together, which filled Logan with joy. But Itsu was murdered by the now brainwashed Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, under Romulus's orders. Believing that both his wife and child were dead, Logan disappeared. To avenge their deaths, he went to see an immortal swordsmith named Muramasa, who used a piece of Logan's soul to forge a mighty blade that Logan would claim years later. This blade being one of the few weapons that can permanently kill Logan. He was then retrieved by Romulus's organization and brainwashed once again. But unknown to him, Romulus also took the child from Itsu's womb, and he was safely born and adopted by a Japanese couple. This child was named Akihiro, but he eventually took the name Daken, meaning mongrel. By 1961, Logan, at this point known as Wolverine, joined the Weapon X project, part of the Weapon Plus program, which had been created to fight the mutant menace. He was then placed on the Black Ops squad run by the CIA called Team X, with Sabretooth, Silver Fox, who surprisingly appeared to be alive and with no memories of her time with Logan, Maverick, Kestrel, and Mastodon. During this time, Logan and the others received memory implants via staged scenarios, telepathic manipulation by Aldo Ferro, and other technology. Weapon X also duplicated Wolverine's healing factor and implanted it in Team X, slowing their aging process. In 1966, Logan also helped Nick Fury deal with the Sim soldiers in Vietnam, where he discovered the existence of alien life and was possessed for the first time by a symbiote. In early 1968, Wolverine was called to report in a facility located in Dallas, Texas, where he was shot with carbonadium bullets, which slowed his healing factor, so that Weapon X or Romulus could know how to kill him. The bullets were removed, but Logan awoke earlier than expected, and he regained his memories for the first time in years, because they hadn't been altered yet. Logan tried to keep the secret, but he rendezvoused with Team X in Berlin, East Germany, where the team was sent to steal the carbonadium synthesizer in order to sabotage the Russian super soldier program and save Janice Hollenbeck, a double agent. After retrieving the device, the team was attacked by the product of this new Russian super soldier program, Omega Red. During the team's escape, Sabretooth, apparently aware that Wolverine had regained his memories, killed Janice to reinforce Wolverine's conditioning about innocents dying when he overstepped Romulus's boundaries. In the end, Team X was able to escape from Omega Red, but it seemed the carbonadium synthesizer was lost. In truth, Wolverine was still in possession of the carbonadium synthesizer and decided to hide it from the rest of the team. After this event, Logan quit Team X in late 1968. After quitting Team X, Wolverine joined Department K, a secret Canadian Defense Ministry branch with ties to Weapon X. Based in Ottawa, he partnered with Neil Langram and worked again with Nick Fury, at this point a high-ranking CIA agent, and with Richard and Mary Parker, the parents of Peter Parker, also known as the Amazing Spider-Man. Years later, Langram was sought as an operative by the Hellfire Club, but he refused, and was then slain by Sabretooth, hired as a mercenary. Wolverine and Carol Danvers, a young US spy and future hero who goes by many names, investigated and infiltrated the Canadian Ministry of Defense, and more precisely a top-secret research and development agency which was in its early stage of growth, hidden in a sub-basement of a vast government complex, Department H. Within, they discovered a list of several names called the Mutant Agenda, and more troubling, the names of both Logan and his dead partner Neil were on it. Logan and Carol then decided to track Dr. Perry Edwards, who wrote a book about the rise of superhumans and whose name was at the top of the list. The duo found him in New York and were able to save him from an assassination attempt. They then told him what they had found. He wasn't surprised and explained to them that he discovered the existence of genetically superior beings who were living amongst them, mutants. But more importantly, he also discovered that some of those mutants weren't benevolent and were planning to kill all the members of the inner circle of the Hellfire Club in their search for power. But To that end, they needed to keep the existence of mutant kind a secret. After infiltrating the Hellfire Club in order to learn more, Logan and Carol were lured by Sebastian Shaw and Sabretooth to a Canadian Hellfire Club facility where Sabretooth confronted them. After discovering that Sabretooth killed Perry Edwards and several government officials to make sure the existence of mutant kind couldn't be revealed to the public, Sabretooth told Wolverine details of the club's intent to guide a war between mutants and humans. Sabretooth tried to kill Logan, and during their fight he told Logan that it was time for him to admit the truth. He was a mutant just like him, and that was why he was so obsessed with mutants. Logan, realizing that Sabretooth was the one who had killed Langram, proceeded to defeat his foe by stabbing him with his sword. Despite the severe injury, Sabretooth wasn't done, and he decided to bomb the facility, but Logan and Carol were able to escape in time. Sabretooth survived and also escaped later on. After this adventure, Logan and Carol parted ways, but afterwards he started to talk about this conspiracy with the Ministry of Defense, and after bursting in both Department H and the Hellfire Club during this adventure, Logan's reputation was now dirt in his country. As a result, he tried to forget about the mutant problem and decided to go to Yukon. But Logan was still troubled by Sabretooth's revelations, and he started to develop a morbid preoccupation with the current mutant scandals. To make things worse, Logan's natural mutation started to take its toll on his mind around that time, giving him nightmares and visions every night, to the point of turning him crazy and feral. As a result, Logan started to abuse drugs, and he became an alcoholic. This self-destructive behavior led Logan to accidentally shoot a fellow agent at a firing range one day, and as a result, he was dismissed from Department K and decided to leave Canada. In 1974, before leaving Canada, while in his Lotus 7, Logan was pumped full of thorazine, beaten, and kidnapped by a group of armed men from the Weapon X project, possibly under Romulus's orders. The man known only as the Professor, Dr. Abraham Cornelius and Dr. Carol Hines, then began to examine Logan while he floated in a containment tank. Logan's skeleton, including his claws, were bonded with the indestructible metal known as adamantium, making it unbreakable, and burying his personality and memories beneath the most intense brainwashing he had ever undergone. Logan was then put under deep hypnosis, telling him that he wasn't a man or individual, and being a man disgusted him. Reduced to a near mindless state, Logan was forced by Weapon X to slaughter every inhabitant of the small town of Roanoke as a test. Logan proved to be too difficult for the Weapon X program to control, and after some time, he broke free of the programming, fell into a berserker fury, and escaped the facility, killing nearly everyone except for the Professor, Dr. Cornelius, Dr. Hines, and Malcolm Colcord, who later became the director of a new Weapon X program. Unknown to Logan at the time, the Winter Soldier was present and helped him escape from his captors. As a result of having his bones and claws laced with adamantium, Wolverine's natural mutation, which was slowly turning him feral, was put into remission as the adamantium precipitated a chemical change within his body. As a result of this experiment impeding his natural evolution, Wolverine's healing factor was weakened and he healed slower than before. Wandering in the woods, Logan was eventually discovered by Heather and James Mack Hudson, a young couple honeymooning in the Rockies, whom he attacked, only to be shot by James. While he was recovering, Logan regained enough of his human persona to be horrified at his claws, believing them to be artificial implants. After recovering his mental faculties with the Hudson's help, Logan became a member of Canada's Department H, the superhuman-oriented government agency James Hudson founded. Sometime after, the Canadian military mobilized to fight the Hulk, but Wolverine received orders from Romulus to attract an unidentified party's attention by fighting the Hulk. Wolverine started a battle with the Hulk and a Wendigo. Wolverine's speed and maneuverability proved to be a match for the two plotting powerhouses. Combined with his healing factor and adamantium claws, meant that he could take any punishment the two could deal and also dish out his own. But after realizing Hulk was a more formidable opponent, he changed tactics. Teaming up with the Hulk to take out the Wendigo, Hulk threw the Wendigo into a patch of trees and Wolverine delivered the finishing blow. The Hulk and Wolverine kept on fighting, and by then Hulk had grown so enraged that Wolverine's adamantium claws failed to penetrate his skin. He finally managed to temporarily knock Wolverine out. Quickly back on his feet, and despite his protests to keep fighting the Hulk, Wolverine was ordered to return to Department H while the Hulk was knocked out with a gas bomb and captured. Wolverine then spent months completing espionage missions until he was approached by Charles Xavier, aka Professor X. Attracted by Logan's fight with the Hulk, as Romulus expected, and looking for mutants to help his students, the X-Men escaped from the island being known as Krakoa. Wolverine resigned from Department H to accompany Professor Xavier and return the captured X-Men. This marked the point where Logan officially became an X-Man. Shortly after Wolverine, under Romulus's instructions, tried to assassinate Xavier, but Charles broke Romulus's hold on Wolverine by blocking the effects of his programming. After Krakoa was defeated, Wolverine decided to stay with the X-Men at the School for Gifted Youngsters, with fellow new recruits Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, Thunderbird, and Banshee, as the original members left to pursue normal lives. Logan remained with the X-Men for quite some time, but a rivalry grew between him and the de facto leader of the X-Men, Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. One of the reasons being that Logan had fallen for Scott's girlfriend, telekinetic telepath Jean Grey, who soon rejoined the group. Despite being at first skeptical of Xavier's hope for mutant and human coexistence, Wolverine began to respect his ideals, determination, and goals, growing into a loyal and trusted member of the X-Men. Wolverine also developed strong feelings with Kurt Wagner, Peter Rasputin, and Aurora Monroe, aka Nightcrawler, Colossus, and Storm respectively. When the X-Men traveled to Agarashima, Japan, Logan met Lady Mariko Yashida and aided her cousin, former X-Man Sunfire, in battling Moses Magnum. Although she was unable to reciprocate his feelings, Wolverine fell for Lady Mariko, heir to an extremely powerful Yakuza family in Tokyo. Initially frightened, Mariko was soon set at ease by Wolverine, who was attracted by her gentle demeanor, and both fell in love. After he made the first change to his costume and journeyed to Canada to make things right with the Canadian superhero team Alpha Flight and Department H, which funds for Alpha Flight, Logan started to investigate the return of his letters to Mariko and discovered that she had been married to an abusive husband, Nobuo Hideki. Logan intended to kill her husband, but was drugged and challenged to a duel of wooden swords by Mariko's father, Lord Shingen. During the duel, Logan was soundly beaten and humiliated in front of Mariko due to the poisoning and Shingen using deadly pressure points. Logan then threw the sword and unsheathed his claws, only to be beaten more and revered as an animal cast in a semblance of human form, for using deadly force in a non-lethal duel. With this act, Logan had dishonored himself to Mariko and was cast into the streets, where he was rescued by Yukio, later his close friend and sometimes lover. After being attacked by the Hand, Yukio manipulated Logan into helping her, which led to further embarrassment in front of Mariko. Upon realizing his deceit, Logan took the fight directly to Shingen. After Yukio killed Mariko's husband, Wolverine was forced to kill Lady Mariko's father, Lord Shingen, in a duel. Afterward, Mariko gave Logan the clan Yashida Masamune's sword, stating he was worthy. Forged 800 years ago by the supreme swordsmith Masamune, the sacred blade represented everything that was best and most noble in the family and the samurai, the Lord's champion, who wielded it. With the deaths of her father and husband, Mariko was named head of Clan Yashida. Logan stayed with her and they later announced their engagement. Before the wedding service, Viper and Mariko's half-brother Silver Samurai poisoned the X-Men and battled Logan to wrest control of the Clan Yashida from Mariko. At first enraged at seeing Rogue had joined the X-Men, she gained Logan's respect after saving the life of Mariko by jumping in front of a shot from Viper intended for her. Mariko and Logan became estranged due to the honor customs of her family, as well as the manipulations of the villain Mastermind, and Logan returned the Masamune's sword to her. After the X-Men defeated Mastermind, Mariko returned the honor sword to him and stated that she had to break her clan's criminal connections. Mariko felt that she couldn't marry Wolverine until she did this. Weeks later, the X-Men battled a giant dragon when they were teleported to Japan. Unable to save a dying woman, Wolverine vowed to protect her daughter, Amiko Kobayashi. Logan initially left Amiko in the care of Mariko while the X-Men battled Selene. Amiko would eventually become Wolverine's foster daughter. Following a distress call from teammate Kitty Pryde, aka Shadowcat, Wolverine traveled to Japan. Kitty was then captured and put under the mental control of Orgon. Orgon mentally controlled her, transforming her body and soul as he had originally intended to do to Wolverine. After arriving in Japan, Kitty was sent to kill Wolverine and injured him greatly, but with help from Yukio, she was restored. Logan undertook a crash course in order to teach Kitty's body, such as Orgon had taught her mind, and become skillful enough in the Japanese martial arts to contend against Orgon and to help her overcome his evil. Kitty went to face Orgon herself, who was attempting to kill Mariko and Amiko to punish Wolverine. After being defeated by Orgon, he offered Kitty, calling herself Shadowcat, to join him or die. At that time, Wolverine came to her rescue. Sadly, Wolverine was also overwhelmed, and the two of them sat helplessly at Orgon's mercy. In a turn of events, Kitty informed Wolverine that she was scared until he arrived, and when he apologized, she stated that she didn't want an apology, but life. At that moment, Wolverine turned the battle and defeated Orgon, and Kitty regained her innocence that Orgon had taken. After killing Orgon, Logan and Kitty became very close friends, with her as a near foster daughter to him. It was during this adventure that Logan learned from Charles Xavier that his friend James Mac Hudson died. After Orgon was defeated, Logan decided to head back to Canada and check on Heather Hudson in order to support her in her ordeal. Sometime after, Yuriko Oyama, aka Lady Deathstrike, tracked Logan, intending to kill him. Her father, Lord Darkwind, invented the process that laced Logan's skeleton with adamantium, but his work was stolen. And as a result, she wanted Logan to return what she thought he had stolen from her father, his adamantium skeleton. After being defeated a first time, Yuriko swore to defeat Wolverine and avenge both her honor and the honor of her father. To that end, she went to see the mutant Spiral, to be augmented into a cyborg with superhuman strength and adamantium claws. 3 former Hellfire Club soldiers that were severely injured by Wolverine when he saved the X-Men from the Hellfire Club also swore revenge on Logan, and as a result, they were also changed into cyborgs and became the Reavers. Lady Deathstrike and her Reavers attacked Wolverine and almost killed him. Logan was aided by Katie Power, and with her help, he was able to recover from his wounds and defeat the Reavers. Logan then confronted Lady Deathstrike, and after a violent battle he defeated her, and was horrified to discover what Yukio did to herself in order to have her revenge against him. Despite Yuriko begging Logan to kill her out of mercy, he refused and told her she had to earn it. Soon after, another ghost from Logan's past appeared once again, Sabretooth. When the X-Men attempted to rescue the Morlocks after the Marauders began to indiscriminately massacre them, Wolverine was charged with bringing one of the Marauders as a prisoner. While hunting the Marauders, Logan was confronted by Sabretooth, who was about to kill one of their members, the Healer. Despite wanting to fight Sabretooth and kill him as revenge for everything he did to him in the past, Logan decided that saving Healer was more important than his feud with his old foe. As a result, Logan managed to trap Sabretooth under a pile of rubble and helped the Healer get to safety. Unfortunately for Wolverine, Sabretooth wasn't done with him. After the evacuation of all the surviving Morlocks from their tunnels, Sabretooth snuck inside the X-Mansion, knocked out Rogue, and tried to kill the X-Men newest recruit, Elizabeth Betsy Braddock, aka Psylocke. Betsy was able to handle her own for a while despite Sabretooth's ferocious attacks, until the X-Men finally arrived at the mansion. Wolverine then decided to confront Sabretooth while Psylocke used the opportunity to probe Sabretooth's mind in order to learn the identity of the Marauders' leader. Despite Sabretooth's psi shields, Psylocke succeeded, and after letting Logan and the X-Men know, the team decided to help Wolverine against his foe. Sabretooth, knowing that he was going to lose against both Wolverine and the rest of the X-Men, decided to dive into the lake near the mansion, with Wolverine following after him. But in the end, Sabretooth managed to escape, and not even Psylocke could detect him. On the anniversary of his wedding to Mariko, the team was abducted by Horde, who wanted to use them as his lackeys in order to retrieve the Crystal of Ultimate Vision, of which he wore a shard on his forehead. The X-Men were sent to the Citadel of Light and Shadow, where the crystal was hidden. As the X-Men progressed through it, the Citadel created illusions of each of their most powerful desires. Only Wolverine, Storm, and Psylocke were able to resist. Wolverine reached the crystal, but Horde cut him down and killed him by removing his heart that he wanted to keep as a trophy. However, a lone drop of Logan's blood splattered on the crystal, which gave out enough energy for Wolverine to be restored and reborn. Empowered to godhood, Wolverine plucked the crystal shard from Horde's forehead, and the Tyrant quickly aged and crumbled to dust within seconds. Wolverine rejected the godlike power and returned the X-Men and their friends home, ensuring that the human race would be able to evolve to its full potential. After the deaths of ex-KGB agents all over Manhattan, Logan was reminded of an old freelance operative from the Cold War, Charlemagne. The last time Logan had seen Charlie, she was working in West Berlin. It was a mission that Logan had protested, but Charlie insisted, and her handler double-crossed her. Charlie called for Logan's help, and he understood that it was serious. After 50 Soviet operatives couldn't take them down, they sent in KGB agents that had been undercover for years, and Wolverine's berserker rage finished them all. After the slaughter, all that was left was a little heart-shaped pendant. After leaving the X-Men in a time of need, Logan traveled to Potsdamer Platz, West Berlin, where 2 KGB agents blew their cover by killing muggers, and Charlemagne killed them while Logan's back was turned. While in the Kurfürstendamm, Logan got the scent of Spider-Man in civilian clothing, discerning his secret identity. Logan warned Spider-Man to stay away from Berlin and forget about Charlemagne. But when Spider-Man returned to his hotel, KGB agents killed Ned Leeds and were asking his involvement when Logan arrived and killed all of the agents, again warning Spider-Man to leave. Logan tracked Charlie to a steel mill just outside of East Berlin, and the two stayed together for a while. When the couple went to dinner at the Ganymede of Friedrichstrasse, Spider-Man arrived to inform them that everyone in the restaurant was an agent waiting to kill Charlie, a fact that Charlemagne and Wolverine already knew, and a gunfight broke out. After losing Charlie in the fight, Wolverine and Spider-Man managed to track her down by getting to her marks before she did, but were always one step behind. After the pair split, Charlemagne called Wolverine to a Soviet cemetery at Teptow, and he understood that she wanted him to end her life, so that the Soviets wouldn't have the chance to torture her. After flinching, Wolverine pulled too much, and Charlemagne was bleeding to death. At that time, Spider-Man arrived and attempted to stop Logan from killing her. A brutal fight broke out between the two. While on top of Spider-Man, Wolverine stated Spider-Man would have to use all of his strength to break Wolverine's neck, while he would just have to lash out his claws to kill Spider-Man. At that time, a government chopper arrived and the two split. In the confusion, Charlemagne snuck up on Spider-Man, aware that he was tense, and he gave a punch of super strength, killing her. Charlemagne died in Wolverine's arms and the agents left. After giving Spider-Man a fake passport, the pair returned home. Charlemagne being one of the few characters that Spider-Man has ever killed. Logan continued to juggle between his life with the X-Men and his solo adventures in Madripoor for a while, but one day after returning from Madripoor, Logan was attacked and captured by the Reavers and Donald Pierce, who decided to crucify and torture him. While on the cross, Logan had several fever dreams, during which he saw several of his friends and foes, but also a vision of what happened to the X-Men thanks to Gateway. Logan learned that without him, and after Longshot quit the team, the X-Men were weakened and Pierce and the Reavers intended to kill them at their lowest. Psylocke knew the X-Men had no chance against the imminent attack, so she telepathically convinced her teammates to enter the siege perilous in order to save them. The X-Men gone, Pierce was left more furious than ever and decided to take out his anger on Logan. After Gateway showed him what happened, Logan was then confronted again by Pierce, who decided to crucify him on an X-shaped cross. Shortly after, a powerful storm started, which forced the Reavers to leave Logan alone. In the middle of the storm, a young runaway mutant named Jubilee, who had secretly followed and lived with the X-Men for a while after they saved her from the M-Squad, witnessed what was happening to Logan from afar and decided to help him despite the fear of being caught and killed by the Reavers. As she approached, Logan managed to free himself and fell to the ground. Jubilee, both amazed and terrified by what she saw, helped him get back to his feet. Jubilee hid the wounded Logan, who had trouble healing, and hallucinated Carol Danvers and Nick Fury. Disoriented, Logan attacked Jubilee, but she managed to knock him back with her plasma blast and he regained sense. Pierce, angry that Wolverine had escaped, sent his hounds in order to track him down, but thanks to Gateway, both Logan and Jubilee managed to defeat the Reavers and escape. Despite being part of the Reavers, Lady Deathstrike respected Logan as a warrior, so she decided to protect the Yashida's honor sword that Logan kept in his room from the other Reavers and let him escape with Jubilee, because there was no honor in killing him if he couldn't defend himself. Logan and Jubilee then decided to head to Hong Kong, and more precisely to the Landau, Luckman and Lake office, in order to investigate the disappearance of the X-Men. After this adventure, Jubilee followed Logan on several adventures and would eventually become like a daughter to him. I think that's the third daughter figure now, much like Kitty before and Psylocke before that. With the help of Jubilee, and later Psylocke, Logan was able to find the missing X-Men, and after defeating the Shadow King on Muir Island, the team was finally united once again. The search for the X-Men now over, Wolverine was greatly troubled by some of his lost memories, so he decided to investigate the abandoned Weapon X facility in Canada where he had been transformed years before. There, he started to have flashbacks of his time with Team X and from when he was abducted by the Weapon X program. After Logan learned that his memories had been tampered with, both Xavier and Jean tried to help him by removing some of his memory blocks, but as a result, Logan was overwhelmed and almost lost his mind. Professor Xavier told him that if he tried to remove Logan's memory blocks again, Logan would lose his humanity. This revelation angered Logan, and he tore off his brown costume, saying he wasn't an animal but an X-Man. As a result, Logan stopped wearing his brown costume and decided to wear his original blue and yellow uniform again. Logan headed to Windsor, Ontario and infiltrated an old Weapon X warehouse where some of his fake memories were created, inadvertently activating the artificial intelligence Shiva, which was designed to kill rogue Team X members, including Wolverine. Logan managed to defeat the Shiva robot, but another one took his place, and Logan discovered that he couldn't defeat it the same way twice. Despite Shiva's adaptive nature, Logan still had the upper hand when the robot blasted him with a mind probe that made Logan relive every pain, injury, and moment of agony he had experienced in the past. Unknown to Logan, the fight between he and Shiva was watched by both Carol Hines and Professor Thornton, who appeared to still be alive. But shortly after, Silver Fox revealed herself to both Hines and Thornton, and she killed Thornton. Logan discovered that Thornton was dead and that Hines was still alive, but also that before dying, Thornton activated all the remaining Shiva robots and that their main target was Sabretooth. While Logan didn't care about Sabretooth's fate, the X-Men worried about the other targets on Shiva's kill list. Confronting the fact that many of his memories were implanted, Wolverine became much darker, which also worried the X-Men. After those revelations, Logan returned to the mansion to spend more time with the X-Men, but unfortunately, they were attacked by a ghost from Logan's past, Omega Red, who was recently resurrected by the leader of the Hand, Matsuo Tsurayaba. Omega Red, with the help of Abraham Cornelius and Matsuo, were able to capture Logan, who was then tortured in order to discover the location of the C synthesizer, the only thing that could stabilize Omega Red's powers. Fortunately, Logan was helped by another ghost from his past, his old teammate Maverick, who discovered that Logan's memories of their time as part of Team X had been removed from his mind. With the help of the X-Men and Maverick, Wolverine was able to stop Omega Red and Matsuo's plans, recovering the C synthesizer. After defeating Matsuo's army, Logan was confronted by Cornelius, who was going to shoot him, but before that he apologized to Logan for what he did to him years ago. Logan, having no memory of the Weapon X experiment, didn't understand what Cornelius was talking about. Before he could get an answer, Cornelius was shot in the head by Maverick, while Matsuo and Omega Red managed to escape. Logan then gave the C synthesizer to Maverick, telling him that despite the fact that he didn't remember everything about his past, he had a vague recollection that it must belong to him. Logan then disappeared and was left with more questions than answers about his own memories. After receiving a call from Jubilee, Logan quickly headed to Japan with Gambit, to whom Logan owed money after a recent poker game. But unfortunately, because of his adamantium skeleton, he was stuck in Los Angeles airport security. After putting a call to S.H.I.E.L.D., Logan was able to go on the plane, but his clearance request set off Hydra's computers, so Silver Fox called in one of Donald Pierce's cyborgs, Scylla, to go after Logan and eliminate him. After landing in Japan, Wolverine and Gambit were attacked and managed to defeat the Hand, but as a contingency plan, Matsuo Surayaba bailed Jubilee out of jail and kidnapped her. Jubilee met the assassin Reiko, who had been blinded by the Hand and tasked with killing her. In exchange, Reiko was promised her sight back, but after Jubilee mentioned that she knew Logan, Reiko let go as she was indebted to Logan. Logan and Gambit finally arrived at the police station, but were attacked by Scylla and several ninjas sent by Matsuo Surayaba. Thanks to the help of Sunfire, they were able to defeat them, but Scylla managed to escape. Shortly after, Jubilee was found by Yukio, who took her to a place, while Reiko was promised amnesty with the Hand by Silver Fox in exchange for her help. After the fight at the police station, Logan and Gambit headed to the house of the Yashida family and discovered that the clan Yashida was embroiled in an internal dispute. After Logan met Mariko and the Silver Samurai, the Hand attacked them, forcing the Silver Samurai, Gambit, and Logan to work together. Along the way, Mariko gave Logan his old brown costume, and he fought against Scylla again, this time defeating her. Unfortunately, both Silver Fox and Matsuo formed an alliance and used Reiko to trick Mariko into being poisoned. After realizing who Mariko was to Logan and what she had done to his love, Reiko killed herself. Faced with a slow and painful death, Mariko asked Wolverine to end her life quickly and mercifully. A heartbroken Logan reluctantly complied, making this, I believe, the third love of Logan's life that has died. And I believe all of them were right in front of his eyes as well. After the death of the woman he loved, one of many he's gone through, Logan spent the next few days sitting at her grave, even in the rain, despite Gambit and Jubilee's protests. Suddenly, after hearing the Silver Samurai say the word Wraith, Logan had a memory flash of the last mission he did with Team X in Berlin that resulted in the death of Janice. But now he also remembered the man named Wraith, aka Kestrel. After experiencing this memory, Logan agreed to leave, but on the way to the airport, he caught Matsuo's scent, quickly changing into his costume to face him. Wolverine then vowed to Matsuo that he would slice off a part of his body on the anniversary of Mariko's death until there was nothing left of him. A promise that Wolverine would keep for years until Matsuo died. The death of Mariko changed Wolverine's character significantly, making him more disciplined and emotionally distant. After his recent adventure in Windsor, his encounter with Omega Red, and having experienced yet another flashback after hearing the word Wraith, Logan decided to investigate his past with Team X. He finally found his old teammate John Wraith, who triggered several of Logan's memories thanks to a Shiva's head, and revealed to him that he managed to capture Sabretooth. Afterwards, Wraith revealed that he was worried that the aging suppressant given to all Team X members was failing. Wraith's fears proved to be true, as one of the members of the team, named Mastodon, died in front of them after the reversal of his age suppression factor. After being joined by Carol Hines in his quest, Logan discovered that Silver Fox was still alive, and to his surprise, Silver Fox despised him for something she believed he had done. But before Wolverine could figure out what Silver Fox believed he had done, the team managed to trace Mastodon's death to Aldo Ferro, now known as Cyborg. Cyborg overwhelmed them with his illusions, resulting in Carol Hines' death from a heart attack and Silver Fox's death at the hands of Sabretooth. Sabretooth and Ferro both escaped afterwards. Because of the deaths of both Marco and Silver Fox and Weapon X's mental tampering, Wolverine suffered a mental breakdown. Nick Fury and John Wraith decided to help Logan and revealed to him that some of his memories of Silver Fox were real. As they brought Logan to their old cabin in Canada, he decided to bury her in this place next to the cabin where they used to live. Professor Xavier also decided to help Logan by unlocking a memory about one of Team X's missions from the Cold War called Terry Adams. That led Wolverine to Russia, where he met the Soviet super soldier Epsilon Red, who revealed to him several secrets about his past with Team X. Epsilon Red then used his memories to burn the memory implants from Logan's mind in order to unlock his real memories. But unfortunately, the process was only half successful, and some of Logan's memory blocks proved to be impossible to break.